This is the incredible story of Japanese mythology. Chapter 1. In the beginning, there was nothing. No mountains, no oceans, no sky, no Japan. Only a vast, shapeless chaos existed. Ancient Japanese mythology tells us that from this chaos emerged the first divine beings. These gods were known as the kami. Unlike many Western gods, kami were not always all-powerful rulers. They represented forces of nature, emotions, places, rivers, mountains, and even ideas. As more gods appeared, two special deities were chosen to complete the creation of the world. Their names were Izanagi and Izanami. The heavenly gods gave them a sacred jeweled spear and ordered them to create land. Standing on the floating bridge of heaven, they looked down upon the endless ocean below. Izanagi lowered the spear into the water and stirred the sea. When he pulled it back up, drops of salt water fell from the tip. Those drops hardened into the first island. This island became known as Onagoro. The two gods descended to this newly formed land. There, they built a magnificent pillar and a great palace. Soon they married and began creating more islands. One by one, the islands of Japan appeared. According to mythology, the entire Japanese archipelago was born through the actions of these divine beings. But creation would soon bring tragedy. Chapter 2, Dhof Izanami. As Izanami continued giving birth to new gods, she eventually gave birth to Kagetsuchi, the god of fire. The birth was devastating. The flames severely injured her. Unable to recover, Izanami died. For the first time, death entered the world. Izanagi was overwhelmed with grief. He could not accept losing his beloved wife. Determined to bring her back, he traveled to Yomi, the land of the dead. Yomi was a dark and terrifying place, a realm where the dead remained forever. When Izanagi finally found Izanami, he begged her to return with him. She agreed to ask permission from the rulers of the underworld, but she gave him one warning. "Do not look at me." Izanagi waited and waited, but impatience overcame him. He lit a torch. The moment he looked at Izanami, horror filled his heart. The beautiful goddess he remembered was gone. Her body had decayed. Death had transformed her. Terrified, Izanagi fled. Humiliated and furious, Izanami chased him through the darkness. As he escaped, he sealed the entrance to Yomi with a massive boulder. Separated forever, Izanami shouted a terrible curse. Every day, she would claim 1,000 human lives. Izanagi responded that 1,500 people would be born each day. Thus, according to Japanese mythology, the cycle of life and death began. Chapter 3. He, Birch Of, He, Sun, Moon, and Storm Jagodes. After escaping Yomi, Izanagi performed a purification ritual. He washed away the corruption of death. During this sacred cleansing, something extraordinary happened. New gods emerged from his body. When he washed his left eye, a brilliant goddess appeared. Her name was Amaterasu. She became the goddess of the sun. When he washed his right eye, Tsukuyomi was born. He became the god of the moon. Finally, when Izanagi washed his nose, Susanoo emerged. He became the god of storms and the sea. Together, these three deities would become some of the most important figures in Japanese mythology. Amaterasu was wise and noble. She ruled the heavens. Her light illuminated the world and allowed life to flourish. Tsukuyomi governed the night. Little is known about him compared to the other gods, but he played an important role in maintaining balance. Susanoo, however, was very different. He was powerful, emotional, impulsive, and often destructive. His actions would soon throw the heavens into chaos. Chapter 4. The Storm, God's Rebellion. Susanoo was unhappy. Instead of ruling the seas, he spent his days crying for his mother, Izanami. His grief became so intense that it caused destruction across the world. Rivers dried up, forests withered, chaos spread everywhere. The other gods grew angry. Eventually, Izanagi banished Susanoo from heaven. Before leaving, Susanoo decided to visit his sister, Amaterasu. But Amaterasu was suspicious. She feared her brother intended to seize her throne. The meeting quickly became tense. Although they initially tried to prove their good intentions, Susanoo soon lost control. He destroyed rice fields. He smashed sacred buildings. He terrorized the heavens. Then he committed an act so shocking that it changed the world. Susanoo threw a dead horse into Amaterasu's sacred weaving hall. The act horrified everyone. Amaterasu was devastated. She retreated into a cave. And the moment she disappeared, the world fell into darkness. Chapter 5. THE sun disappeared. Without Amaterasu, sunlight vanished. Darkness covered the earth. Crops failed. Evil spirits emerged from hiding. The gods became desperate. If Amaterasu refused to leave the cave, the world might never recover. The gods gathered outside the cave and created a brilliant plan. They hung precious jewels from sacred trees. They lit enormous fires. Then a goddess named Aimno Uzume began to dance. Her dance was so entertaining that the gods burst into laughter. Inside the cave, Amaterasu heard the celebration. Confused, she wondered why everyone seemed happy despite the world's darkness. Curiosity overcame her. Slowly, she opened the cave entrance. The gods showed her a magnificent mirror. For a moment, Amaterasu saw her own reflection and was captivated. At that instant, the gods pulled her from the cave. Sunlight returned to the world. Life was restored. And once again, balance returned to heaven and earth. Chapter 6. The He-Eyed Heated Dragon. Narrator. After being banished from heaven, Susanoo wandered across the earth. Although he had caused chaos among the gods, his greatest adventure was still ahead of him. One day, while traveling through the province of Izumo, Susanoo encountered an elderly couple standing beside a young girl. The couple was crying. Their faces showed years of sorrow and fear. Susanoo approached them and asked what had happened. The old man explained their terrible situation. They had once been blessed with 8 daughters, but every year, a monstrous dragon called Yamata no Orochi came from the mountains, and every year it devoured one of their daughters. Now only one daughter remained. Her name was Kushanadaheim. Soon the dragon would return for her as well. The monster was unlike anything imaginable. It possessed 8 heads, 8 tails. Its body stretched across valleys and mountains. Trees grew upon its back. Its eyes glowed like burning fire. Its enormous size made it seem more like a living mountain than a creature. Susanoo listened carefully. Then he made an offer. If he could save the girl, she would become his wife. The desperate parents agreed. Susanoo immediately devised a plan. Instead of fighting the dragon directly, he would use its weakness against it. He ordered the family to prepare 8 enormous barrels filled with strong rice wine. The barrels were placed behind a fence, each positioned in front of an opening. Soon the ground began to shake. The dragon had arrived. Its massive head searched for prey. Then the creature smelled the wine. One by one, each head lowered itself into a barrel. The dragon drank greedily. Hours passed. Eventually, the monster became completely intoxicated. When the dragon collapsed, Susanoo drew his sword. With tremendous force, he attacked. The battle shook the mountains. After a fierce struggle, Susanoo defeated Yamata no Orochi. As he cut through one of the dragon's tails, his sword struck something hard. Hidden within the monster's body was a magnificent blade. This weapon became known as Kusanagi no Tsurugi. The sword would later become one of Japan's most sacred treasures. The victory transformed Susanoo's reputation. For the first time, the storm god became a hero. Chapter 7. The Sacred Sword of Destiny. The sword discovered within the dragon would eventually become one of the most important symbols in Japanese history. Known as kusanagi, or the grass-cutting sword, it was believed to possess extraordinary power. Susanoo presented the weapon to Amaterasu as a gesture of reconciliation. The gift helped repair their damaged relationship. Generations later, the sword became connected to Japan's imperial family. According to legend, the descendants of Amaterasu carried the sacred blade as proof of their divine origin. Even today, kusanagi remains one of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan. These treasures symbolize the authority of the Japanese emperor. Although few people have ever seen the sword, its legend continues to inspire fascination. For many Japanese people, kusanagi represents courage, honor, and divine protection. Its story reminds us that even in the darkest battles, valuable treasures can emerge. Chapter 8. He Mel Stereus World OFOK. Not all supernatural beings in Japanese mythology were gods. Many belonged to a different category known as yokai. Yokai are strange, supernatural creatures that exist between the worlds of humans and spirits. Some are harmless. Some are mischievous. Others are terrifying. For centuries, stories of yokai have been told around campfires, in villages, and in ancient books. They were often used to explain mysterious events. A strange sound in the night, a shadow moving through the forest, a sudden disappearance. Ancient people often believed yokai might be responsible. Unlike many monsters from other cultures, yokai come in countless forms. Some resemble animals, some look human, others appear as living objects. The variety is nearly endless, and that is what makes Japanese mythology so unique. Chapter 9. Kitsune, the he fox spirits. Among all yokai, few are as famous as the kitsune. At first glance, a kitsune appears to be an ordinary fox, but appearances can be deceiving. According to legend, kitsune grow wiser and more powerful as they age. Over hundreds of years, they develop magical abilities. The most famous ability is transformation. A kitsune can disguise itself as a human. Sometimes they become beautiful women, sometimes elderly travelers, sometimes merchants or nobles. Many stories tell of humans who unknowingly befriended or even married a kitsune. In some legends, the fox spirits are kind and loyal. They protect families and reward good people. In other stories, they are tricksters who enjoy confusing humans. The most powerful kitsune can possess 9 tails. These 9-tailed foxes are said to possess immense wisdom and magical power. Their legends continue to appear in anime, movies, books, and video games today. Chapter 10. He Tengu of He Mountains. Deep within Japan's mountains lives another legendary creature, the Tengu. Long ago, Tengu were feared as dangerous demons. Over time, however, their image changed. They became powerful guardians of forests and sacred places. Tengu are usually depicted as human-like beings with bird features. Many possess wings. Others are famous for their unusually long noses. Legends claim they are masters of martial arts and swordsmanship. Some stories describe Tengu teaching secret combat techniques to worthy warriors. Many travelers believed that entering the mountains alone was dangerous because a Tengu might be watching. Although they could be helpful, they were known to punish arrogance and pride. Their stories served as important lessons. Respect nature, remain humble, and never underestimate the unknown. Chapter 11. Kappa. He River Monsters. Not all yokai live in forests. Some inhabit rivers and lakes. One of the most famous is the kappa. At first glance, a kappa looks strange and almost comical. It has the body of a small human, the shell of a turtle, webbed hands and feet, and a bowl-shaped depression on top of its head filled with water. That water is the source of its power. If it spills, the creature becomes weak. Kappa are notorious pranksters. They enjoy playing tricks on humans, but many legends portray them as dangerous. Children were often warned not to swim alone because a kappa might pull them underwater. Despite their frightening reputation, kappa also possess a surprising weakness. They are extremely polite. If a person bows to a kappa, the creature will bow in return. When it does, the water spills from its head. This leaves it powerless. These stories became a way of teaching children both safety and manners. Chapter 12. Jost's O.F. Japan. Japanese mythology contains some of the world's most chilling ghost stories. These spirits are known as yurei. Unlike ordinary ghosts, yurei often remain trapped between life and death because of powerful emotions. Revenge, love, grief, anger. These emotions prevent them from moving on. Many yurei are depicted wearing white burial robes. Their long black hair hangs freely. Their faces appear pale and expressionless. Countless Japanese horror films draw inspiration from these legends. Stories of haunted houses, abandoned temples, and restless spirits have remained popular for centuries. Even today, some locations in Japan are believed to be haunted because of ancient yurei legends. Chapter 13. T.H. Grand Hild O.F. T.H. Soon Ju Des. Narrator. As the ages passed, the gods began to prepare the world for human rule. The heavens were peaceful once again. Amaterasu, the great sun goddess, looked down upon the earth and decided that it was time for her descendants to govern the land. To accomplish this, she chose her grandson, Ninigi no Mikoto. He was wise, noble, and blessed by the gods. Before sending him to Earth, Amaterasu presented him with 3 sacred treasures. The first was the mirror that had helped lure her from the cave. The second was the sacred jewel representing wisdom and unity. The third was the legendary sword Kusanagi, discovered inside the body of the 8-headed dragon. These treasures would become symbols of divine authority. They would later form the imperial regalia of Japan. Ninigi descended from heaven onto the mountains of Kyushu. His arrival marked the beginning of a new era. According to mythology, this event established the divine connection between the gods and the rulers of Japan. For centuries afterward, Japanese emperors would trace their ancestry back to Ninigi and ultimately to Amaterasu herself. This belief gave the imperial family a sacred status unlike almost any other royal lineage in the world. Chapter 14. D.H. First Emperor. Generations after Ninigi's descent, a great leader emerged. His name was Jimmu. According to Japanese mythology, Jimmu was the great-grandson of the sun goddess.